Well, g'day, and welcome back again to Jiao Qing. And today we're out on the bike. It's a little bit rainy out here. It's very, very windy when you get out of these trees. Yeah, we have a typhoon down to the south of us at the moment passing through. Must be getting close to Hainan Island now, which we'll actually have a look at on the next video. We're actually on our way to make another video. I just had an idea. I'm going to try something out, but on the way there I thought I might just have a quick little talk about something else that it's been on my mind the last week or two, since Jerry from Jerry's Take on China made a video about why he doesn't criticize China, which straight away got me to thinking, well, I've certainly said some things that I find negative about China. You know, just the way different people act and stuff. But then I stopped, you know, I thought about it some more and I thought, well, is this really a criticism? And I sort of came to the conclusion that actually I don't think it is much of a criticism, actually. It's more about being informative. So yeah, any time I say something which I don't really want to call it a criticism, because I don't think that's what I do, but it is things that from my perspective, when I view them, you know, first glance they appear negative from my perspective. And when I say negative, that's negative due to my upbringing, my culture in Australia, the way I'm used to things being done. They're not necessarily a negative from a Chinese person's point of view. In the same way that a person coming from America, if you're coming from America and you're coming to live in China, and if you're the sort of person that loves guns, loves shooting, loves collecting guns, whatever your sort of thing with guns might be, if that's your jam and you're coming to live in China, you're going to probably call not being able to have guns a negative thing. You know, freedom and all that sort of stuff. Whereas for me, I'm not really a big gun nut. I enjoy shooting, you know, put a gun in my hand. I love target shooting and seeing how good I am, but it's not a big part of my life. And for the problems that guns can cause, I'm quite happy for guns to be banned. I don't get to go out target shooting, ho-hum. It's not a great loss in my life, so for me it's not a negative. For other people it might be. So I was thinking about this, what Jerry was talking about criticizing China. And do I criticize China, and how do I go about criticizing China? And yes, I'm happy to talk about things that I find negative or objectionable at first glance. But I also, whenever I do that, I try and dig a little bit deeper. I try and think about, okay, why do they do things this way? And a great example is the way people drive here. You know, people will just pull out into oncoming traffic, which in Australia you'd probably get stopped by the police for doing that, lose points on your license. Wow, there's a little snake down there. I don't know how well the camera caught that, but yeah, little, where did he go? He's disappeared. You occasionally see snakes around here, though I haven't seen one for a long time. What was I saying? I got distracted by the snake. Okay, so yes, driving, that's right. So people pulling into oncoming traffic here. I found that I was flabbergasted when I first got here. I used to sit at an intersection where I first lived. I used to sit at an intersection down the road there and just watch what was going on, because for me, it just looked absolutely crazy. Coming from Australia, where I think driving is a lot more ordered, a lot more controlled. Yeah, a whole lot less freedom when you're driving in Australia. There's that freedom word again that people like to use against China. So yes, things are very different here when you're driving on the road. Yes, people don't give way like we do in Australia. But a large part of that is because of the amount of cars on the road. If you gave way and you drove like we do in Australia, here in China, especially rush hour, you could be sitting at an intersection for 2 hours and not get anywhere, waiting for a gap in the traffic, which just isn't going to come. So you have to drive differently. So what looked absolutely crazy to me when I first arrived here, as you sort of get to know a little bit more about what things are like here, you start to appreciate that, okay, things aren't quite as crazy as they might look. And there's lots of little things like that. I've mentioned things in the past in various videos about different ways people act, and I always try and give an explanation. Okay, this is what they do. From an Australian perspective, it looks mental, it looks crazy, it looks stupid, whatever. But when you dig a little bit deeper, here's the reasons behind it. And most of the time, the things that to my eyes look a little bit are worth criticizing, once you dig a little bit deeper, you actually realize that, okay, it's not actually quite what it appears. So, and I would encourage that in everything. There's a lot of information that's put out there that is very, very surface level, and they don't really give the background. A lot of it was the COVID stuff that got reported on in China, the total lockdowns and stuff, which never really happened. I mean, like I've said before, I spent, I think it was 6 or 7 days in lockdown where they actually closed off. I couldn't really go outside of my school. And in the whole time, that was it. And that lockdown was only around the sort of a couple of city blocks around my area where a cluster of people had shown up with COVID. Other than that, I was pretty free to travel around the city. Traveling further afield was more difficult. Getting on the trains and stuff was a lot more difficult. But you could hire a Didi and travel to another city and not have any of those problems. It was really just going in and out of the train areas. Okay, we're going to pull in here because this is where we're actually going to maybe sit to do our next video. So yeah, criticizing China. What Jerry was talking about was just criticizing, and I think he would agree with me where he would talk about negative things. I'm sure I've seen Jerry talk about things that are negative, but he also gives the explanation as to why things are this way. I'm pretty sure he has, unless I'm thinking of some other channel that I've watched, so who knows. So yeah, criticizing China, just criticizing without giving the background, I will never do. I will never simply look at something and say, look, this is bad. I will always look at something and say, okay, this is bad from my perspective as an Australian, but let's dig a little bit deeper. Why are they doing things this way? And try and give that context, because once you have a little bit more context, things are easier to understand, and quite often they're perfectly justifiable. So yeah, and you've also got to look at your own perspective. You know, as the example I use, the American coming to China who's a gun fan. If they're a big gun fan and their view is that guns should be legal and all this sort of thing, then they're just going to disagree with China's policy, and they're probably not going to agree with the justifications. I've had conversations with Americans about the gun laws in America, and they justify them, and I can kind of understand their justifications, but I don't agree with them. I can understand them, but I come from a different perspective, and I think they're silly. But they come from a different understanding, and they don't think they're silly. So who's right, who's wrong? It all comes down to perspective, your view, your preferences. So I would encourage anybody, when you listen to news, watch videos about life in China, and whether they're being negative about China or positive about China, dig deeper. Don't just take what one person says as truth. I take you around, I show you things. I don't sort of do videos in my home, just sat down talking about things. I always try and get outside, take you around, take you places like this, actually give you a look at what's actually happening, so you can see with your own eyes. But even then, it can be, it's not showing the whole story. So whenever you hear something positive, negative, dig a little bit deeper. Some people are just negative about China. They've got an agenda. Some people are just positive. Maybe they're people who live in China and just want to be positive. Not everything about China is positive. There are negative things. There are things, China's still improving, like every country. Every country has its positives. Every country has its negatives. The big thing for me is, what is that country doing to make life better for its citizens? And I do think at the moment China is on the right path. They are doing a lot of really, really good things. We got some rain coming. We're actually going to try and get the bike up these steps here just to park it out of the rain, if we can work our way up. Hey, there we go. That's good. Get up under the roof. So yeah, whatever you hear, whether they're talking about China or another country, try and dig deeper. Try and look behind what people are actually saying. Look a little bit further. So do I criticize China? I don't think so. I think I give my perspective on what's happening, and I try to give a little bit of background information. The other thing that I kind of, when I first watched Jerry's video with his title, and when I saw the title I thought, that doesn't sound quite right, but as he went through the video it made more sense. But the other reason I am happy to comment on what I perceive as negative things is because other people are coming from other countries. Whether you're coming from Australia like I did, or you're coming from other places, there are things, when you come to China, there are things you're going to see that are different to how they are where you come from. So it's good to actually learn some of this stuff. I think it's good to share some of this stuff, and try and explain some of this stuff, so that when you come here, you're not just, oh, what the hell are they doing? That's stupid. You actually have some idea of what they're doing, why they're doing it. Because I'm sure China would love more foreigners to come here, to experience China, to learn about China, to get past some of the misinformation and, let's be honest, some of the lies that are told about China. China would love more people to come and visit, see with their own eyes what things are actually like. And I think it's good if people are coming. I think it's good to have a little bit of foreknowledge of what to expect. I'm probably going to think about this subject some more and do something else about this in the future. But for now, we're going to end there, because we're actually going to sit down here. I've got another video. I want to try doing something that I've not done before. So yeah, stick around for that video. So if you've enjoyed this little chat, it's not been very structured. I've been sort of wandering around the place a little bit, but just going off the top of my head. Yeah, if you've enjoyed that, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to see more of what's coming up. Share with friends. If you have any questions, comments, hit us up down in the comment section down below. If you have anything you would like to learn about life here in China, again, comment section, hit us up. If you come up with a good idea, we'll go away, do some research, make a video for you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay safe, and we will see you all in the next one. Cheers.